everybody, I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just wanted to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in episode 2 of season 2 of The Last of Us series. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, you might want to pause this video, head over to Max, check out that episode, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, joining with me to break down everything from episode 2 of season 2 of The Last of Us series, it's Jon Jon Rico.
Hey guys, you guys okay? Is everybody okay?
We get a status check out there.
We all right?
How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing?
Wellness check, everybody. It happened.
it happened. Just like we needed to do in 2020, checking out all of our Last of Us video game friends and loved ones. We got to check on, the people that are just kind of experiencing the Last of Us events for the first time.
Yeah.
From the series.
Sure.
Just check on them. Check on them this week. But
yeah, it's been very interesting, or not interesting, but I don't want to say fun because it's not a fun occasion.
It was a jolly episode.
Yeah, but seeing people's first reactions to this, it's kind of I'm gonna make a lot of comparisons to Game of Thrones, still because especially HBO and everything, but adaptations and all that. But I imagine this is the way that people react to seeing people see certain events from the books happen for the first time on screen. For the first time, this is like that big event for us as people who play the games. Okay, this is what's good. We can't wait to see how you guys are all gonna react to this one because we already experienced it once, so now you guys get to feel it.
Yeah, which is crazy. So I was scrolling on TikTok a lot after I watched the episode, and I did see a few people who, creators, not like anyone I actually knew or anything, just scrolling random video feeds, and a couple of people that I saw had not had anything spoiled, had not played the video games and everything, and they were just like, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah,
I'm shook. I can't believe
Bold
it.
Move.
the one I really liked was a guy who had been he was a streamer, and I apologize, I don't remember what his Twitch handle was, but he had videos from when he was streaming in 2020 when he was actually playing Last of Us Part 2 for the first time through, and he had no idea what was going on because there are some differences in the way that the series did it and the way that the video game did it, and one of the biggest is that the video game just kind of threw you into the event, and it didn't really explain anything about Abby. You didn't know who she was. You didn't know why she, was angry at a particular person. You didn't even know she was looking for Joel. Mm-hmm. And the series kind of, they had to be able to tell the story. So they give you a little bit more backstory on Abby first in the first episode. And then you kind of, you knew a little bit more going into this episode.
Yeah.
But he basically put out a 3-minute clip of when he saw that video game event for the first time, and he was sitting there crying. He was going, why is this happening? Why are they doing this? Why is this? Why it was just I was like, oh man, because even long before I even played the game, I already knew what happened.
Same.
Yeah,
I waited a couple of years before I played.
Right. Exactly. So I knew everything. I knew what was going on, and I had already started watching some playthroughs and stuff like that long before that. So I kind of already knew what I was getting myself into.
I knew it happened, but I didn't know how quick it happened. So I think when it happened, that's the part that caught me out. I was like, oh shit, here we go. It's happening this quick. And then I was like, oh, it happens like that. And that was the other.
Yeah. And I will tell you this, even though I knew, this was going to happen in this season, I didn't know how soon it was going to happen, because I remember us talking about last video, like, I wonder if it's going to happen in episode 2, or if it's going to be like, a 2-parter where, like, we're going to get everything up until it, and that's going to be like the cut to credits type of thing, and then it's going to be like pick back up, or do a flashback episode and then pick up on episode 4. Like, I didn't know if they were going to extend it and pull it, like, draw it out a little bit more or anything like that. And as soon as I started, like, I put off watching the episode. I did not watch it on Sunday. I put it off for a day or two.
Yeah, I was out of town, so I had to wait a couple of days myself. So
I was like, I was like, if I didn't look anything up, but I was like, if this is the episode that happens, I don't know if I'm mentally prepared yet. Like, I had to make sure I was good, like,
right,
to be able to kind of let it happen. But yeah, and then once I started the episode and started, things just started looking way too familiar, and I was like, well, it's happening. It's gonna happen. This is gonna happen. And I mean, the episode itself, like, and that's literally what I put as my quick reaction as well. Well, that happened. The episode itself is incredible. Like, because it is jam-packed. I told you even before we started recording, I was glued to the screen for the entire episode, just with everything that happens. And there were multiple times where they could have just stayed on other stuff longer and really, kind of, like I said, made this into a 2-part episode type of thing, and made the Joel scene kind of be on the back half of the next episode or something like that. But yeah, just the ability for them, and I've said this in other series, the ability for them in this episode to juggle all of the things that happened in this episode and to do it well was so awesome to be able to see and to watch.
They all get their chances to breathe.
Yeah. Every single thing happens, and I mean, there's so many more things I want to talk about, but like the other thing that I have to say, because I deal with, unhappy things with comedy. 2 things. Number 1, I have to give the MVP for the Battle of Jackson. I'm giving that award to the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
The dogs are the real MVPs for the Battle of Jackson. But also, you've watched Hot Tub Time Machine, right?
Huh?
Okay, so here's my pop culture reference. So once things started ringing some bells, not literally, not talking about the Battle of Jackson yet. Once things started ringing some bells that Joel, the scene was getting set up, basically. Right. There's a kind of a running joke in Hot Tub Time Machine where they go back in time and they know that one of the workers at the ski lodge loses an arm, and they know what happens when they go back in time too. And one of the guys keeps going,
that guy doesn't lose his arm soon. I'm going to fucking take it from him myself.
Yeah, they're just like, waiting.
Yeah, all of these events that, like, you would think, like, could be the reason why he lost his arm. So like, I just kept looking at the events, and I was like, when is it going to happen? Because I knew they were setting it up and I knew it was coming, but that just popped in my head because, like, that's just how my brain works. With sad things coming up, I was like, yeah, brain, give me something funny to think about for a second. But yeah, Rico, what were some of your instant reactions for episode 2?
Yeah, this was definitely like a jam-packed episode. When you had like the whole Battle of Jackson on top of the huge event that happens with Abby and Joel, of course, at the end of the episode as well. Even when at the beginning of the episode, when she has that bit, the dream when she has the flashback of going to the hospital, and then but when she wakes up and you see those giant windows of the cabin that they're all staying in, I'm like, oh, that's exactly like the room that it happens in too. So like, as soon as I saw those windows, I was like, well, here we go. Like, I have to start setting myself up to be ready for what's about to happen here. So yeah, this was just an emotional roller coaster of an episode. And again, I was the comparisons to Game of Thrones, of course. This episode, so for me, because especially with the snowy setting, of course, reminded me of an episode called Hard Home, of course, where they kind of have like this big battle against the White Walkers, who are kind of like the zombie kind of flesh eaters of the series, of course. That the big kind of like hive mind beings and stuff that go after the people. So I love that whole kind of thing. There's we've got some great action stuff with some main characters of ours as well. But yeah, I think now that we've experienced this big moment with Joel's death, now the happening is that like now we can kind of like really kick off like what's going to be the real meat of the story now too, because just like in the game, like it happens so early in the story that's like okay, it's really just like a catalyst for what's going to be the main story that we're going to get into now too. So yeah, I'm really glad that it happened in the second episode, that we didn't drag this out really sooner. I was hoping a part of me was hoping that was happening in the first episode, but then after seeing like all the stuff they put in the first episode, like okay, I can see them kind of dragging this out for one more episode to kind of get that like oh my god factor out of the second episode too, to kind of keep the discussion going, right? Especially because we're only getting I think like what 7 episodes a season before, because we're getting it split up into 2 seasons. So we're getting less episodes than we're getting of the first season, so we got to really kind of jam in a lot of big story content here before we go on another break towards season 3. So we're really like off and running when it comes to story pacing here, and it makes you look forward to the future a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And before we get too far ahead of ourselves, you want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Why don't you kick off big takeaways?
Okay. So I think for me the MVP of the episode for me is Caitlin Dever as Abby. I think in this say what you want about the casting choice of her not being muscly enough or whatever it is that people have to say about when it comes to the comparisons of the Abby in the game. I think when you bring in like scenes just like that first scene in the beginning episode where she's kind of in the flashback to the hospital, but she's also kind of like talking to past self and future self kind of a thing, of that event. I just think her performance is so really well done there. But even the way she interacts with Joel before she ends up kind of revealing her old like her intentions to begin with, right? She kind of like fainting, being nice to him, and then as soon as she lures them all the way back to their cabin, like boom, she kicks right into gear and she goes right back into like what she was set there to do. So I just thought, and in comparison to that scene in the game too, I think there's quite a few moments that are just basically like line for line from what the game is too, like the you stupid old man type line, of course. But even the way that she channels the rage when she's just beating the absolute shit out of him too at the same time, like I just think that she absolutely like hit this scene out of a park, and it's a big task for her to do given how significant of a moment it is within the franchise. So yeah, I just feel like any kind of doubts that that I had like because I remember her like being like a fan cast for Ellie a long time ago too, when she was a lot younger of an actress. I'm like, that'd be interesting. She see if she can pull off this kind of character like Abby, and I think for sure she can. And she just I think she was great in this episode too.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. She's one of those characters that as long as they're developed well, you love to hate them because they're made to give you a certain feeling, like you're attached to Joel, like you know what I mean.
You played as Joel, so
exactly
like there's a huge
like, you're connected to Joel, and so it's a huge it's huge shoes to fill for any actor. So the fact that she came in and she was able to, do this really well is it's even more impressive than just like a normal, playing a normal character. Because you have to pull something from the audience too, because they have to dislike you so much because you're killing off someone that the audience has grown attached to. You know what I mean? It's like Thanos in Infinity War. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to. They had to write him, and they had to have him be so. They had to do it so well that you like loved to hate him. He had to be a very developed character and stuff like that. And I think it just goes to show, her acting ability and the writing ability to be able to kind of create that emotional feel for that moment. and everything too. So both huge ups to the game, both huge ups to the, you know, the series and to the actor for doing that type of thing. Like it's just all encompassing, I think, is like everybody had to do a perfect job at kind of making that character actually be that person that they needed to be, type of thing. So
yeah, and I think going kind of like out of the or the way that the story brings her in the game too, where I think that she's already at Jackson basically when we first meet her, and then of course we get that moment where she runs into Joel and it's like, okay, here it is, like that she's running into like a character from the game, of course. But then I think doing the you know, kind of formatting this for TV too, kind of giving you the audience her reasoning beforehand, kind of just makes her not just more like you don't really see her as like a straight up villain, I think, in a sense too, because now you have the context of why she's doing what she's doing too. And I think that's the great thing about the whole morality debate that I brought up when we talked about episode 1 too. I think now that we kind of like we've seen what her side is all about and all her motivations in this is like, okay, well he seems to like pretty much accept like what he like he knows exactly what happened, where she's from, and of course he goes, okay, like this, like, you know, I'm kind of getting my comeuppance here for what I did too. So yeah, I think now like it's gonna be again, it just brings forward that morality discussion about what, you know, there's just like you said, but the whole Thanos thing too, like they have to be set in like their, you know, their reasonings for what they're doing, because what they're doing is not bad in their heads, like it's what they feel like needs to be done. So yeah, I think she does a great job of kind of conveying that overall.
Right. And I mean, the best villains are the ones that you can see that humanity in, and you can see, you know, what the
justified in some way.
Yeah, their reasoning and their justification for doing what they're doing, type of thing. That makes an all around good villain, because, you know, if you looked at the games from a different point of view, if you just started, you know, very first game was Abby walking into, you know, the Firefly hospital part, finding her dad murdered, like, you know, like
that's an evil person to her. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So then it turns into a completely different game when you're looking at a different point of view and a different perspective. Like if Abby was the main character, it's like, oh shit, okay, well, I guess this Joel guy, we got to go hunt him down. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like, damn, like and that really what makes for like a really good story and a really good, you know, villain in general, is being able to kind of see their motivation for what they're doing and their reasoning, like you said, justification too. But yeah, we could go on and on and on, and we will as the season goes, because I mean, just like the video game, I'm interested to see, you know, how we're gonna jump between the perspectives, because now we're gonna have, you know, Ellie's side, and we're gonna have Abby's side, kind of like the video game, where we're gonna kind of see both perspectives and kind of see all of this. So I'm really interested how that series is how the series is going to do that. But before I get ahead of myself again, the other thing I wanted to bring up is, you know, kind of the other really big part of the episode, which was the battle at Jackson, and like we didn't get any of that in the video game.
No, Jackson never really gets attacked in the video game, which is cool. We hear about attacks and stuff.
Exactly.
Now, well, fortified it is, but now we actually get to see it on display, which is pretty cool.
And I think, you know, telling us and would be one thing, but showing us is just, it brings the tension of this entire series to another level. Just like I was saying with the first episode, where, you know, we've seen clickers and we saw how, you know, they've become kind of the norm, and Ellie, you know, Ellie and Dina can take them out and they're not even scared of them, type of thing. And then we get the stalker, and that's, you know, it was able to kind of best Ellie for a minute or two in a situation, type of thing. This kind of does that, but on an entire town perspective, type of thing, where, like, you know that they've been living somewhat comfortably, and the biggest things they have to worry about are kind of more social kind of things. You know what I mean? Like their kind of life is kind of started to kind of go back to normal for kind of the residents of Jackson, where, you know, yes, there's always that imposing threat, but it's not really in our face for most.
A little too complacent,
right? And so then to see this and to go, oh shit. Like even some place as fortified as Jackson could, like, if they hadn't drilled kind of as much as, you know, you kind of assume now that they had been kind of practicing and been, you know, ready for these moments, that would have been the end of everyone. in that entire town type of thing.
You know
like,
they're gonna be checking those pipes a lot more often now after this.
well, but here's the thing. Here's the
Yeah.
thing. I think like, and I was going to ask you this actually in predictions, but well, I might as well ask you now. I don't remember what happens to the guy that actually sees the stuff that's moving in the pipes, because it happens so close to when the other guy who's on watch starts ringing the bells. So we don't know if that guy gets wiped out. I don't remember seeing that guy again at another point. So
I imagine they all just start going into like their protocols whenever something like that might happen. I just assume.
Yeah.
Like, if we don't see it outright happen,
exactly. But I'm wondering if that's still going to be an underlying threat, because like,
Yeah.
like
a lot of people died.
Yeah. But like things are going to have to be like rebuilt and all this kind of stuff. So like, I'm wondering if like that's going to go to the wayside, or the vines and everything that's starting to grow, the cordyceps and everything that's going through all the pipes, if that's going to be still an underlying threat, just because the events of like that invasion, kind of went to the forefront. And so now it's like you're in rebuild mode for, the big giant gates and stuff were broken into. So I got to think that's a priority first. And then, making sure all of the cordyceps are actually dead, like type of thing, and getting them out of the city and stuff like that. Like there's a lot that needs to be done way before they go back to, hey, let's get the vines out of the pipes. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? So like, I'm wondering what's going to happen in the in-between with that. But yeah, there's so much to unpack in this episode. Like even just thinking about it, because, obviously my brain could only handle so much. And as we're talking about it, like my brain's going, oh, remember that part? Like, and all this stuff.
Tommy took out a bloater.
Yeah. That was insanity.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Holy, he did that. And then like the whole, even the kickoff of the giant wave of all that stuff, where Abby kind of falls into, I guess, the frozen valley.
And they're all just kind of, and the way that one like kind of slowly turns, like like a
wizard's
chess piece in Harry Potter.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Holy
That's
shit!
the stuff that remind me of Game of Thrones too. The way they have like frozen things like that, and then all of a sudden things just start turning creepily like that. You're like, ooh, okay, no, this is not fun.
Woo. Yeah,
and then the first line of defense in the place where they're just blowing up all the little barrels and stuff like that too. Like, oh, super well done.
And I mean, this was super smart, where they put the vehicles in front of the gates, and then they put the stocks underneath the tires so they couldn't be pushed very easily. Like, all of this is
everything was really like meticulously thought out, and it was super really.
And
cool.
they had to drill like crazy. Like, we had never seen them drilling before, like doing all these routines and making sure everything went down right, and having levels of defense and different things being activated at a certain time, so that like nothing was getting wasted. And it was just. Man, it just really goes to show, how big of a threat they are, even for a town that is this prepared, type of thing. And so it just brings that. I feel like it just adds to the overall tension and kind of this stress of survival in general, that kind of had gone to the background, type of thing. This is kind of more turned into like we're paying attention to the characters and the world that's going on. Now I feel like it's back in the forefront for me. Like I'm like, oh shit, like this is terrifying.
Right?
Just be another horde of infected out there again, and just if they hit at the wrong time, everybody's gone again. Like you know what I mean? It's just, man, it so much to think about. But you want to get to some predictions?
Yeah, let's do it.
What's up? All right. So I'm gonna kick off predictions with I don't really have a prediction, because I we've played the video game, so we kind of know some of the stuff that they could, touch on, but we also don't know, like you said, they're going to cut the second game up into 2 seasons. So we don't know how far they're going to go with certain storylines. We don't know what they're going to expand on, because, just like we said, there was no battle at Jackson for the video game. We heard about, events and stuff like that, but we didn't really see one. So like, we don't know what they're going to expand upon, like they did with season 1 and stuff like that. So very interested to see that. The one thing I can say is that I'm looking forward to is seeing like an Ellie, Dina, and Tommy team up to track Abby. Like I'm just like that. We're assembling a team. Like it's almost like the end of Daredevil Born Again, we need an army, like type of thing. Like I can just see, this trauma bond for those three, characters, and now it's just like, okay, we're on a mission now. Anyone coming with us come with us, otherwise get out of our way, type of thing. But I mean, what about you? Like, what do you, I guess, predictions, but like, what are you looking forward to seeing before the end of the season?
Ooh, yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot before the end. I'm curious to see
We're only on
again
episode 2.
what part of the game they'll obviously try to split into the as the the cliffhanger to go into the second part of the season,
Right.
or the second part of the game. But yeah, like I said before, now that we we've kind of gotten past the kind of big Joel moment where Abby kills him. So like now I feel, and again, that being the catalyst, I feel like for the bigger story that kind of happens throughout the rest of the game, of course. I'm just kind of excited to kind of see those those events start to kind of like kick off, and we can kind of start like this this kind of next journey that we're on here, I guess. I don't know if it's necessarily a whole act 1 now kicking off into act 2 already, but but yeah, I guess I'm excited to get into like the real meat of the story too. I think we can still learn a little bit more about Abby's crew and stuff like that as well. The actress who plays Nora, I think that the ball girl, I thought she was a cool cameo to see, because obviously Last of Us is like a big Naughty Dog franchise, of course, and now just recently they just announced their new game, the Heretic Prophet, Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, or something like that. And she's the character model for the main character of that game too. So I was like, oh, she looks super familiar. And then I was like, oh wow, that's a cool like Easter egg for obviously Neil Druckmann who did wrote The Last of Us 2. He's obviously doing that game as well. So like his way of just kind of throwing in one of his actors that he's using in the game as well, just kind of getting her face out there too. So I thought that was a really cool thing too. But also like the way they throw in things like at the end of this episode, when they play the Through the Valley song too, but it's sung by Ashley Johnson, who famously voiced Ellie in the video games as well. I really love when they sneak in little things like that too. So I'm excited to see like what we get as far as that goes. Still looking forward to the Eugene episode, of course. I think we get a little bit more context about Eugene in this episode, of course.
We did.
Like we know that now that like Joel had to kill Eugene. Like it was almost like a punishment that was set down on Eugene. It seems like he did something bad, and Joel had to be the one that kind of like just put the sentence down. It seems like because it was Jesse, I think, that says like it's kind of it's kind of shady that Joel had to do that. Like I would hate to be in that position. Like he was put in the position to have to kill Eugene for whatever reason it was. Maybe he gets bitten to some degree, or like who knows. Like so, I'm kind of excited to see more context of that too, and see again going back to Gail's whole feelings on Joel too. But yeah, so I'm expecting just to be a lot of mourning in this next episode, of course, when that happens. When it comes to big characters that's like this, we usually take that follow-up episode to kind of like have the characters kind of mourn that a little bit, and then we kind of just like boom, off to the races yet again. So yeah, I expect this one to be another heavy episode too, but I expect it to be a pretty good like character driven one as well.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, that rendition of the song, oh, so many emotions. Like,
yeah, I was like, how dare you do that to us?
And not only that, what was also kind of like I was left to my own thoughts, was that the song stops right as the credits start too, and you just have silence for the credits, and I was like, just kind of like I could see the reflection on my face.
Yeah, great TV shows do that all the time. Like they just leave it a little bit of silence. Like, okay, yeah, so you just sit there with what you just watched for a little bit.
Yeah,
and music. You're like, dang it.
I was like, I can't believe that. Okay.
Yeah, HBO loves doing that after like a big character death. I feel like with all the people that die in Game of Thrones when you weren't expecting it to happen, and then cut the credits, and you're like, "Where's the music?" It's just sitting here with my thoughts and what I'm processing, and this sucks. Play music. Give
me something different,
right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to in this season, and to kind of see where they're going to cut and save for season 3. But yeah, kind of we're here for everything. We have passed the event that we were kind of looking forward to / dreading. Like looking forward to dreading. Like
Right.
basically,
For sure.
it was looming over the start of this of the season. So, but we are past that. Now we get to kind of see how all the characters kind of pick up the pieces and move forward and stuff like that. So, but in the meantime, as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of episode 2? And the biggest question is, did you know what was going to happen before you watched episode 2, or did you go into it completely blind? And are you doing okay? And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Popping Off presents That Recap Show.